Okay, so let's talk about maintenance in the meter itself. Got the parts breakdown here of the meter, and over here we have the door and the seed disc. Now there's two types of seed discs. There's flat discs and cell discs, or plates you might want to call them. If they've got more than one row, they're definitely a cell plate. Okay, so some cell plates have one row, but all flat plates run a single row of holes. Okay, and the difference is that the flat plate can be used in conjunction with the doubles eliminator to produce better singulation of the seed. Okay, so if singulation is a really important point for you, you probably want to go for a flat plate, which in the John Deere range is what we refer to as our Pro Max plates. So a Pro Max 40 is a corn plate, and there's now a Pro Max 64, which we'll talk about in a second. So the main points in the meter that we want to be checking is the seal here. Okay, so we'll call it the door seal. This seal here, which is on the hub. Okay, so I'll call that the hub seal. They are both critical to maintaining consistent vacuum, and of course consistent vacuum is critical to maintaining a good planting outcome. This brush can sometimes wear out and become frizzy, and so it might need to be replaced. And also your vacuum hose, which is not shown on here, it goes onto the door here. It's very critical because those hoses over years they can get holes in them, and they can also become loose on the barb. So the hose is very important. I'll put vac there just so that we know that it is the vac hose we're talking about. It's also very important. Sometimes those holes can develop over time without you knowing that you've got holes in the hose. It's often worth, turning the hose back the other way and having a close look and seeing if you do have holes in your hose, because if you do, you'll be losing vacuum and you'll be getting a pretty poor result. The other thing that you need to do with the disc out is just grab hold of the hub here and just wiggle it and see if you've got any hub movement. If you do have hub movement, it's fairly rare, but if you do have some hub movement, it might be time to replace the bearings or this meter assembly according to what's available. The other thing to be aware of is that there is a new type of door. Okay, so the door, we'll talk about some new stuff over here. There is a new type of door, and what the new door does is it has a snap-in knockout wheel or scraper. Okay, and that's very handy, particularly if you're moving between cell plates that require a scraper generally and flat plates that require a knockout wheel generally. It's very, very convenient to have the snap-in type. Okay, so that's snap-in scraper and knockout wheel. Something as simple as having that snapping can reduce your seed change time by quite a lot, especially if you're doing it over 12 or 24 row units. So that's very important. Also, just as a side note for our cotton guys, there is a new cotton flat plate from Deere available now. It's a 64 cell, which is great because if you're using the current acid delinted plate, it's also 64 cell. So if you're running a ground drive machine, no need to mess around with gearbox settings to get the population right. All you do is just drop that 64 cell plate in. It's actually a flat plate, but it's 64 cells. Drop that in, and if you're on the older row units, if you're not on a Maxemerge 5, which has the integrated doubles eliminator, you'll have to get the doubles eliminator to go with it. You'll also need the knockout wheel for that particular plate. But even those 3 parts per unit are relatively cheap, considerably cheaper actually than doing a very similar thing with some of the competitors in the marketplace. So they're also supported, of course, by us, by John Deere, and by your local parts people. So the 64 cell plate part number I'll give you, it's A121489, and the knockout wheel appropriate is AA103153. Okay, so we're really looking forward to getting some of them and getting them out in the field. We think they're going to give people a really great outcome. In saying that, the outcome that we're getting from the current 64 cell plate is pretty fantastic anyway. So all important stuff. Keep in mind, once again, we have this available from your local parts guys. There's probably going to be some on the parts counter of your local branch, hopefully, and if not, you feel free to ask the parts or IS guys, and they'll provide you with this. It's got a list of the part numbers and all of the important stuff for your pre-season maintenance checks